If you feel like your days are dictated by your to-do list and you just dream of having a schedule that allows you to grow your income while still taking a day off when you need it, then this video is for you. I know what it's like to look at those Instagram stories of people saying what they've got on for their day, looking super productive, ticking it off, and you're behind the scenes feeling like Hot Mess Express, wondering how they are so productive or why their schedule looks so good or how they're able to just take lunch or, go out to lunch with a friend and still have a very profitable, successful business. Well, I am going to share with you in this video 5 secrets, tips, things that I have learned about creating a schedule that reflects your personality, your priorities, and your plans. These 5 things not only help me, but all of my clients as well. And really the heart behind this is to help you to actually develop a schedule that doesn't necessarily look like the ones you see on Instagram, but it's a schedule that's actually going to help you grow your business in a way that feels really good for you and allow you to still be present in all other areas of your life as well. But before we dive into those 5 tips, I am Hannah. If we haven't met, welcome to this corner of the internet. My whole goal as a business strategist is to help service providers sell, streamline, and scale their services. So if that sounds like you, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so that you never miss when we release a new YouTube video. So the first secret, the first tip to creating a schedule that reflects your personality and your priorities and your plans is to actually define what that ideal schedule is. I know, sounds very simple, but the whole point of defining what you want your schedule to look like is that it's not necessarily going to look like someone else's, but it's going to reflect the season that you are in. So what I would love and encourage you to do is actually define what days of the week that you want to work and also what hours within those days that you want to work. So let's say you want to work 3 days a week on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday during school hours. Okay, awesome. Now you've defined the parameters around what you want your schedule to be. Now you can make it effective and optimize it and make sure what you're doing in that time is going to help grow your income. But it's important that you define what you really want your schedule to look like. And this is going to depend on the season that you are in. So for example, if you're in the middle of a launch or you're in a heavy growth season, it probably looks like leaning in a little bit more to business. But if you are, let's say it's around Christmas time and you're taking some holidays off, well, you're probably going to want to lean more into that family time and that life outside of business, if it really exists, right? But you want to lean into that. So your schedule is going to slightly vary based on that, but it's about creating a schedule and defining what your ideal schedule is in this season so that you can base everything else around that. The second secret to creating a schedule that really reflects your personality is adding white space in through the week. Now, what white space is it's basically that buffer room within your schedule that allows you to have more flexibility. So what I mean by that is what I would recommend is having at least 1 hour a week of white space in your schedule. This is the space where you don't plan or schedule anything within that time other than knowing that you will be working. And then you fill it 24 to 48 hours before that white space comes up on your schedule. So for me, when I first kind of started creating a somewhat form of a schedule, I only had time for 1 hour of white space in my week. Now I have half a day of white space, and ideally would be awesome if I could move that up even more. But what you want this white space to be is essentially, let's say you wake up and you can't work because you're feeling unwell or your kid's sick, so you've got to help them, whatever that looks like for you. Well, it's a schedule that reflects your personality. It's not necessarily being able to just have business like a tumbleweed and go through the day as you want and react to certain things and do what feels good for you. No, it's actually creating parameters and boundaries around what are the things that are going to grow your business. So when you wake up, when you have that structure in place, you know what you need to reschedule to another day in order to have that day off. So that white space basically just allows room within, almost like a jigsaw puzzle, allows room for you to buffer and reschedule things or go over time for something and not be stressed out that you may not get everything else done. It's just, okay, I wasn't able to do that today, or that didn't quite work. I'm going to put that into my white space so that I know it will still get done in this day. Now, what you've got to be careful with for white space is that it's not continually packed full of all of the tasks that you just never got done. So you've got to look at patterns. Like if it's a one-off thing that didn't get done, or something came up and you're using your white space for that, awesome, that's what it's for. But if it's similar tasks each week because you keep going over on things that you have set already, well, that's an indicator that something needs to shift and change within your holistic schedule, right? You don't want your white space to just be a spontaneous day of everything that pops up, right? Because that's just frantic and overwhelming. It's really just giving you buffer room. And if there was nothing you needed to reschedule that week, awesome, take that time off and do something else, right? So having that white space just allows you breathing room to know that you don't have to get everything done to the hour. It just allows you time and flexibility within your week to move things around, reschedule things, do things a little bit more of something if you're excited about it, and just having that space within your schedule. The next secret is to have systems and team in place to allow you to fulfill your ideal schedule, right? It's no secret that work still needs to get done. If you're able to run your business in one day a week without any systems, without any team, that would blow my mind, right? Because it's pretty much impossible, in my opinion, if you have a growing business that you are actually putting time and effort into. Like, my goal with a schedule is not necessarily to work less. My goal with my schedule is always to have a schedule that reflects the priorities within the season. And business, for me, at least for now, is always going to be a priority because that's the way I make money, right? I can't necessarily live right now without that financial support from my business. So I need to put effort and work into my schedule throughout the week. So having systems and team in place allow me to be more flexible in my schedule. Because if I want to, let's say, take a week off so that I can lean more into holidays or to work or something like that, well, I rely on my systems and team in order for my business to still run behind the scenes without me necessarily having to run it. The other thing is, let's say I had no team members. Well, systems would allow me to remove some of those repeatable tasks so that I could actually fulfill and create that ideal schedule that I want. Because you can't just create this imaginary dream schedule. There's actually a logistical element of making sure tasks are still getting done. So if you want a flexible schedule, then I would say that systems and team is going to be an important part of that piece to allow you to be flexible, to allow you to have a schedule that really reflects and fits in with your life and personality. The next thing is to understand your personality when you're working. So what I mean by this is you want to actually understand when you best work. So for example, I am definitely an early bird. I love getting up early, but more than that, even if I try and sleep in, I still get up early. Like for example, last Saturday, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a sleep in today. And it literally woke up at 5 a.m. and I was like, wow, good job, Hannah. That's pretty much a sleep in. So to give you an idea, you've got to actually create your schedule around that. So for me, I cannot have some long, exhaustive morning routine because when I wake up, I'm like ready for work, ready to get into it. And if I try and do anything else, my mind's just not in it because it's still thinking about the things I've got to do for the day. So I know, okay, I get up straight away. I pray or read some of my Bible. I go get breakfast and then I start work. So my morning routine is literally like 15-20 minutes, and it's not very long. It just helps to kind of set the tone. Then I come into my desk, I have a look at my to-do list for the day or write it out depending on if I did it the night before. And then I get started and I get into work. So for me, that works really well. But for one of my close friends, she is a night owl, right? And so she creates her schedule around the afternoon and night rather than early hours of the morning. So you've got to craft your schedule to reflect when you are best working, what is most optimal for you in terms of when you feel most creative, when you're just mundanely having to do admin tasks, and creating a schedule to reflect that. The other thing is looking at what gets you distracted, what gets you off topic as such. Like, for example, for me, if you're into the Enneagram, I am a hardcore Enneagram 3. I love being driven and focused and goal orientated. So what I have to do is actually set very clear goals around the season that I'm in. Otherwise, I get really distracted with my schedule because I want to do all the big, crazy, fun, exciting things that look good on the outside, but then I have a lot of fear if it doesn't work, or, whatever that looks like. So I have to create a schedule that gives me breathing space to get things done, but I do move quickly. So I'm able to fit more into my schedule than maybe what someone else could. So therefore, I may not necessarily need as many team members or something like that because we are a more productive team within that sense of personality type. But other things I find really draining and very difficult, right? So you've got to have within your schedule, you've got to do a little bit of trial and error and just see, okay, does this really work for me in the hours that I've set? Or, okay, this is really draining me right now. Why is it draining me? Is it because of the time of where I've got it on my schedule? Or is it because I need a team member to maybe help with that part of my schedule? So really being self-aware enough to know what's working and what isn't. And if something's not working, change it. It's that simple. If it's not working, find a solution to change it. Be creative. Think outside the box for how you can make that part of your business or that part of your schedule more effective and more efficient. And the last secret to creating a schedule that reflects and fits your personality and your season of life is to not compare your schedule. I know this sounds very simple and probably sounds more like it's going to be a pep talk, but this is the biggest killer of productive schedules. Because if you try and copy someone else's schedule or put something into your schedule that was recommended to you and you didn't actually filter or think it through for yourself, you're just going to create a schedule that's really reflective of the tone of culture or that kind of thing, and it's not actually going to be effective for you. An analogy I love to use and talk about often is a motorbike rider. Not a motorbike rider, so bear with me, but what a motorbike rider does as it's going around the corner, the motorbike rider leans into this corner, almost looks like they're going to fall off, but they're actually leaning in and doing that in order to keep the balance. And I often remind myself of that analogy when I'm doing my day-to-day business tasks, that my schedule is going to look slightly different to someone else's, and I don't have to feel this insecurity or feeling like my business isn't going to be as successful if it's not reflecting them. I've actually know that I need to lean into certain areas of my business in certain seasons, and that's okay. If I have to work on a Saturday morning one day, I'm not going to feel guilty for that. I'm just reflecting the season that I'm in, and that's okay, right? So don't feel like there's this must-haves or should-dos in your schedule. It's actually about a bit of trial and error and creating that space, creating that system, the actual day-to-day, week-to-week that feels really good for you and that actually has data behind it. It's actually growing your business. It is effective in helping you be the best business owner that you can be. And if you want more details on how you can actually create a schedule that works for you, I did a video last week about Google Calendar and how I use Google Calendar to show me what my schedule is, map it all out, so you can go and check that video out if you want a behind the scenes of my schedule, and also how you can use Google Calendar to create your own schedule that reflects your personality, priorities, and plans for this season of life and business that you find yourself in.